Welcome to this video in which I will try to explain how to give proper feedback. The first point that I would like to clarify is that providing feedback is not have a conversation with another human being that generates a sense of fight or flight. In the moment that you see that you are saying things to the other person that are really difficult for him to hear or for her, or that somehow are making him feel uncomfortable, then this is not feedback, this is another thing. We should try to not be judgmental, meaning try to provide something which is of utility for the other person, not trying to throw judgments that will make her or him feel bad. It is always good to stick to the facts, try to be very sincere, but at the same time stick to the reality, not what we think, what we project, what we think it would be better, worse, etc. Just to provide the data raw and try to make the other person move with that. Again, it's very important that when you prepare the feedback session, you take care of the terminology that you want to use. Try to make it sweet, try to make it pleasant, and try not to make the other person uncomfortable with them. It's difficult, I know, and providing feedback, it's an art actually, because it's a very precise point where we want to say something and we want to be assertive, we want to say what we think about the reality, but at the same time we don't want to annoy or to block the other person. And it's not just the result, but also the process. So when you provide feedback, you have to stick to the facts, as I said, but on the other hand, it would be good that apart from the results, the way we get those results is also important, right? And that's something which is important. I would like to talk about three feedback methodologies. Very common, one of them, and the other is a little bit more sophisticated. Anyway, you take the one that it works for you. The third one I will explain in another video because it's kind of more difficult to understand, and it's also not only involving the past but also the future. We will see that later. So the first feedback methodology, it's sometimes called like the sandwich, which is to say good things, then the bad things or the not so good things, and end up with good things. What I like from this methodology is that it's really easy to planify or to plan. It ends well, but in my opinion, the person somehow tends to understand that you are trying to provide feedback, but with an end which is kind of pleasant and not brave enough, so to speak. So the good ending is good, but when the middle has been bad, sometimes there's that feeling of I'm not sure the person that has provided the feedback has been sincere enough, because there's people that likes the feedback in a very abrupt way and direct. Some others prefer to have the information in a bit of more progressive way, etc. So for me, this is good depending on what your internal client is. If you see somebody that really gets annoyed easily, or that has a person has a way of saying things which is very progressive, use this one. If it's somebody that is interested in feedback but not so much, this is the correct one. But if you have somebody that likes to have more detail, or that really appreciates having a feedback with more progressivity, but at the same time going into the details, etc., perhaps the second way would be better. The second way is a kind of more progressive way, as I said, where we start by the very first point, that would be the upper left shape that we have, which is provide the good performance feedback when the receiver of the feedback agrees. An example would be, you are so good managing this data with Excel, and you know for facts that the other person considers him or herself very good with Excel and very good with data, and things are going smooth, no problem at all. We start by this point. Then we go with the good performance when the feedback receiver is not in agreement with you that he or she is doing well. For instance, let's talk about somebody that is dealing with some people internally in the company, and that it's dealing really well with them because the people complain or have sometimes a little bit of a stress, but the person always managed to get things done and control the people, etc. And then you can say, I see you are so good managing those people and getting all the information they need, all their needs. You do it so well. And you can see that the person says, well, yeah, but I think I could be better. Then this is the second point. So we go from the good in agreement to the good in agreement. Later we go to the third shape, the one which is orange, and then we say bad performance when the receiver agrees. That is to say, look, I think we have an opportunity of improvement in that point. I think, I don't know, let's make an example. Your deliveries are always on time, but from time to time you start delivering a little bit late, and that it's important because it generates an impact. And this way, I'm asking you please to try to pay a little bit more of attention to that. And then the receiver also agrees, yes, you're right, sometimes I am delayed, sorry, I will try to make this better in the future. Perfect. And finally we go to the fourth shape, which is bad performance, and the person disagrees. And that is the very bad moment of saying to somebody, you are not doing this as well as I think, and you disagree. And then here is where we have to be, like I said in the very first slide, not judgmental, trying to stick to the facts, etc. This method makes the other person believe you have prepared a lot of conversation, which is good, gives recognition to those good things the person is doing even more because you are telling things where the person has good performance, even when the person disagrees, acknowledges some improvement areas where the person also thinks there's room for improvement, which is kind of the basis for also offering your help or offering training or offering some other peers in the department to help the person, which is good. And also goes in the latest stage to those things that we think that are not good. In comparison with the previous methodology, it's much more sophisticated, but it's also true that it's not ending well. We are not ending with the latest slides with good stuff, right? So we are going into the bad performance and the person disagree. So we have also, again, to study the person and to see if this end it's been disappointing or really not generating a good effect, which is what we want to achieve with the feedback. And in that case, we should try to add something positive in the end or not, depending. As I said, a lot of people is really not comfortable not receiving feedback whatsoever, but if they receive a feedback which is in some points not as positive as they thought, that is not a problem for them. For other people, that could be a problem, and then, as I said, you have to end up with something that is positive at the beginning. Okay, so that it's important that you manage what is the methodology that you want to use for feedback. And I am going to explain in the next video another methodology which is not based in the past but in the future. We will see it later. Thank you.